We're living in a different time. Isn't that what the old folks say? Well, I beg to differ, because there really is nothing new under the sun. We used to think that this generation was stronger than that of my parents. But after learning where and whom we come from, I realized that this was a false narrative. They fought, bled, and died for the liberties that we take advantage of today. So I changed my mind. We are our grandparents. We are our parents. This is where the idea for uppity Negro apparel and accessories comes from. We are the uppity Negroes that defied boundaries, broke chains, climbed mountains, and crossed valleys of hatred, bigotry, illiteracy, and oppression. The statement is simple. The cause is never ending. The sound, loud. Say it with me, Kendrick. I am that uppity Negro.
Join Bobby for the takeover every Tuesday night as she tackles tough subjects with her trademark humor and wit. We guarantee you'll be educated, edified, and also entertained. So join us at 8 p.m. every Tuesday night, right here on Trailblazers Radio.
but then I don't want to. There it is. I don't want to echo either. So I'm going to have to cut one of these off, and it's going to have to be the computer. I won't end the broadcast though. I'll just leave this one. Okay. Can you hear me now? I hope everybody can hear me now. Um, and if I could get Fred to maybe go on to either my page or I don't know how you would do that because I don't want to leave this and go on to YouTube and let them know that I'm on. It should be streaming live. I hit all the right buttons and all of that other stuff, and I just don't know what's happening today. It's just been a crazy day, and it just seems like it's getting worse. And I don't know. I don't understand why. I do not understand why you can't hear me on my laptop because I opened up the microphone. So hopefully you can hear me. Nobody's answering me. I don't know if you can hear me. So it says my microphone is on, just like on my computer. It said my camera's on. It's showing everything is working, but obviously it might not be. So I'm going to keep on going because it's recording, and maybe I'll be able to download it later on. And I apologize for those of you who are not the normal, the regular viewers, and you want to come on. I should be on YouTube right now. At the very least YouTube, because my Uppity Negro page has been acting like really weird. I tried to reconnect to it today and it did not do that. And so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to fix it. And I think that my engineer is busy too, doing what he's doing. So I have a thumbs up. I hope that means you can hear me. I really do. I'm really trying to get into my subject. I've been distracted 3 or 4 times today. I mean, yeah, just at this moment. And I don't know how. I don't know. It's been 15 minutes. And literally for 15 minutes, I thought I was actually talking to people. And I wasn't. So let me give the people that couldn't hear me a few more minutes to come back in. I hate doing that too. I hate telling people to come in. But we'll talk about my Uppity Negro apparel. This is one of my favorites. And then I have a orange sweat, orange hoodie that I have, that orange and orange hoodie with the same design. This Uppity Negro, inside the Uppity, I can put any design that you want, any color that you want. You can design it however you want. It'll keep the same logo design, but I can change it to whatever. Usually, I have a guy who does it. Maybe every 2 months he'll order, or 3. He'll order a shirt. What he'll do is just send me the color of the tennis shoe, and then we'll make the Uppity Negro, the words of that fit into what he's getting into. So that's that. We're going to talk about the book later because I have a few things, and I have a paragraph in the book that I want to read that goes along with the subject of today. And the reason that I'm on this is because I literally was talking to my boyfriend, and I'm listening to the words coming out of his mouth, and I'm listening to my responses, and I'm thinking to myself, this is some toxic crap. You feel me? Because you get into this lull of degrading and talking down about yourself when you're talking to other people, and then you try to figure out why they repeat those things to you, because you said it. So here we go back to what I was talking about. You have to teach people how to treat you. And if they don't learn the lesson within a certain time frame, and 2 years down the line they still doing that same stuff to you, then they're not taking in the lesson, and they're not listening. And doing that is one of the most disrespectful things. It is disrespectful for me to try to teach you how to treat me by telling you, oh, I don't like that, or I like that, or don't do that. I'm just trying to teach you. I'm not trying. And if you don't heed to that and try to go by that as my friend, then we have an issue. We have an issue because that means you're not trying to be my friend. We just have an issue. So I think if Fred comes back, he'll be able to put in the comments, because I think you can see the comments too, and tell you which platform that he can actually see me on, because right now I'm not sure. So I'm going to just keep going. And sometimes the only way to do this is by treating ourselves the way we want people, the way we want other people to treat us. And therein lies the problem. The problem comes in is we so busy trying to teach people how to treat us from an outside kind of thing that we forget that in order for us to benefit from that, and in order for us to learn what we want people to do and how we want them to treat us, we have to treat ourselves. We got to love ourselves enough and treat ourselves way better than we treat other people. That is not selfish. That is not out of your way. That is self-preservation. That is keeping your own peace. Happiness comes only because you're happy because something happened. That don't last. But peace and joy, they come from God. But in order for you to get these things, you got to know who you are. You got to know what you want. You got to know what you like. And when I was talking to him, I remembered how I was when I was married and with my husband. And the problem with being with him and dumping all my eggs into one basket, and to because I wanted to be somebody's wife and a mother or whatever. But the problem with that came with I lost myself. So when he left and went on to do what he wanted to do with someone else, I had to relearn what I liked. I had to learn. I like fried fish, but not like that. I like shrimp and grits and stuff, but not and red rice. But it's not something I have to have. But he had to have it all the time. And some of the other things that he used to eat, I didn't have to. When we weren't together anymore, I realized I didn't really like all that stuff. I didn't like the way I was dressing. I didn't like the way I talked. I didn't like the way I held myself in so I wouldn't make him upset. I didn't like any of that. And he continued to do what he was doing because I taught him that. I taught him that you can treat me that way because I allowed you to. And then in the midst of all of that, I woke up in the morning with my mind set on pleasing him. And then in the middle of that wheel, I would wake up and I'd look at myself and I would tell myself everything that was wrong with me and I needed to fix it before he came home or before he saw it. And I'm not talking about aesthetically, not all of it. I'm talking about period. Like, and it was a lot of it. Some of it was aesthetically, like how my hair looked or how my face looked. But a lot of it was stuff I couldn't change. This is how I look. This is what God did. This is how my body built. But for at least 10 minutes in the morning, I went down the list of everything that I wanted God to change because I didn't think it was acceptable. And if I am telling myself that how I am as a person and what God created is unacceptable, you don't think that I'm pushing that off on other people? You don't think you're pushing that off on other people when you telling yourself that how you look, how you are, your being, all of that is unacceptable? So then when you tell that to yourself, and then why would you expect anybody else to have those thoughts about you or to make or to give you encouragement? Because you done already told yourself how bad you look today. You done already told yourself you don't care about anything else except making sure everybody else is happy. You feel me? So you've taught that person. You've taught yourself. You taught yourself how to go down the list of everything that's wrong with you. And we do it subconsciously. I can put on something and walk out the door, and within seconds of getting in the car, I'm already saying how it's going to look from whatever angle it's going to be from the back. My God, that's just and I've grown up and I've taught myself this thing. So, that's crazy. So we've taught ourselves to bring up every weakness, every fault, every mistake in us. And those same weaknesses and those same faults and those same mistakes were made by other people. And we've forgiven them. We forgave them for doing it. So how, and that's one of my questions. How do we forgive ourselves when when the saying goes, you can forgive but don't forget? So how do we heal ourselves from that? Because forgiveness is a kind of healing. Don't you think so? I think so. So how do we heal ourselves from the idea that we have, that we, because we know us, we know you better than anybody. I know me better than anybody know me. And so my faults and my failures and all of that other stuff is in there. It's up here. And some of it has been deeply ingrained in my heart, and I'm trying to scrape it away right now. I'm working on it. This is a journey. One of the things that is toxic that we do to ourselves, is we compare ourselves to other people and where they are in their life. I do this all the time. If you listen to my lives in the morning, I've done it. And I try my best. I'm trying my best to stop doing that. I really am. I'm really trying my best to not compare where other people are in their lives to mine. Comparing people that are married already with children and money in the bank and savings and vacations, and they do all of this stuff, and you wonder where did you go wrong? Like what class or seminar or church sermon, or what gives them the strength and the tenacity and the perseverance to walk out of something into something else? And I do it when if there's a job I want, but it's hard for me to do it because I believe, and this is just me being very honest, and I'm probably doing it this way because it really ain't nobody on here. But all I'm saying is, like, I have more confidence and faith and drive for other people's dreams than I have for mine. And it's sad because my dream should be my priority. And I'm still working on putting that in my head. And it seemed like every time I work toward and push toward my dream, somebody need help with theirs. And for some reason, and maybe that's my gift too, I just throw down what I don't know. Maybe Coco will disagree if she comes on or whatever. I talk to her about it later or whatever. But I don't know why I feel like everybody else's dreams are more important than mine. And that I feel like if I help them get through theirs to theirs, that there's a light bulb that'll come on in my head, and things will work out. So that's where we are with that. The other thing is, don't medicate your you can't medicate yourself from basically low self-esteem, because all it's going to do is make it worse. Because when you sober up and drink that orange juice or coffee the next morning to sober up, your problem's still going to be there. It's not going nowhere. It's not going anywhere. It's still going to be there waiting on you to do what you need to do. And that's work on yourself and deal with your own self-esteem. Because nobody else has the power to deal with your self-esteem, because it's your self-esteem. So that's another thing. Drugs ain't the answer either. It's just not. I want to say something about one, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to do that. But I think that let's say this: drugs that have been man-made and chemically induced to do what they do, those are not the drugs that you should have. That should not be your drugs of choice. Is how I'm going to say that. Okay. Another thing is self-care. Self-care is something that you would do and work on that. Because in the midst of doing self-care, all of those things that you talk yourself into thinking that are toxic and not good for you, you're working on those. And in the midst of all of that, those things are going to be gone, and you're going to be like, wow, I didn't even realize I was working so hard on that, and it's gone. So take care of yourself. Eat better. I'm trying to do that. Eat better. Drink better. Water is just, and that's it is so funny that I'm a water drinker, but I would rather chew ice all day. And everybody, the iron low and all that. Well, I'm on chemo, so, but I chew ice all day long. And I mean those big old cups out of the big old cups out of the gas station. And so, and then if I have water, it's bottled water, and I don't like cold water. I know it sounds weird. I don't like cold water with ice in it, but I do like. I'll just drink bottled water from right out of the thing right here. So yeah, so self-care. Take care of yourself. Nobody can take care of you better than you. You know everything wrong with you. And you can go to see whoever you want, and they can tell you you know you better than everybody else. And whatever it takes for you to get to where you need to get to be the person that you want to be, to reach whatever goal you want to reach, you know the pathway to get there. Everybody's not on the same path. Honey, I'm not getting up in the morning and running 2 or 3 miles. I'm not doing it. But I'll lay in bed and I'll stretch and I'll do what I can do. And now that I'm about to go back into what I was into before, all of these things happen, I really have to get myself together and into shape. The last few weeks I did it. Oh my God, all I could do was come home and I barely made it to the bed before I hit the floor. Sometimes I just was on the edge of the bed because I was so exhausted. Not eating, stressing, trying to make sure I did everything right. And it still came out to, never mind. I'm not even going to go back into that. So self-care, take care of yourself. And like all things in life, letting go of being toxic to yourself is going to be hard. And you know how hard it's going to be. Again, you know you. You feel me? You know you. So you know how hard it's going to be. You know it's going to be hard because it's a habit that you've gotten yourself into. I read a poem a long time ago, and it was a poem about waking up in the morning and giving your own self-affirmation. But it started with your body. And I can't remember the name of the poem, but I do remember she went from her feet to her ankles. And hey, Felicia, she went from her feet to her ankles and her calves and and she went up into her entire body. And everything she said about herself was positive. And I thought it was the greatest poem ever. And I had it for a long time, but then all the moving around, I don't have it anymore. But that's what we have to do. It is a hard thing to not be toxic to yourself. Now, I know you got people walk around here and I'm a bad bee and I'm this and that and need help us with the table and oh my God. And you know, I got all the confidence. Follow them home sometime. Seriously, follow them home or this is my thing. And I say this all the time and I get tired of saying it. People probably get tired of hearing it, but it's the truth. Somebody know you in real life. Somebody know you. Somebody know that the way you're acting and the things you're saying and how that's not you. That's the persona that you put out there. And it's great because you've learned how to do that. But if it ain't you, then that's why you're so tired. Because you're so busy trying to be what people see instead of what is going to encourage people to do better. Toxic is not always visible, especially when you are the toxic in your life. I just told you, I'm very honest. I'm the toxic in my life sometimes. Sometimes I'm my own worst critic. And I mean, I will sit on this bed or in the car or driving or in the truck or whatever, and I'm dogging myself. Like I'm dog walking myself. Not because I did anything wrong, but because I'm so used to pointing out my faults and telling myself I ain't worth nothing. And it's just being honest. And it takes a lot sometimes to dig me out of that hole. Sometimes I got to call somebody to get me out. And all I do, and there's only certain people I call. And they know when I call, because the first thing I'll say is, talk me out of this. And either they'll go into prayer or they'll just start talking Words of wisdom. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Y'all better stop messing with these people when they upset and they need help, and you just grabbing a scripture and you throwing at them because it sounds great. Because sometimes, yes, there's the scripture for everything. It will fix it. That Bible it will fix it. But sometimes I want to hear you talking. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know how you feel. As a matter of fact, I want to know how you feel about me as a person. And if I get that in my heart, then I'll be able to tell myself that. I had people write in my book how they felt about me. And right before the show, I read some of it. And it made me get on here and made myself. And I told myself, you haven't been consistent because you haven't been feeling well and you've been going through some other stuff. And you're not gonna have no bunch of listeners or followers here today, and that's okay. It really is, Frederick and Felicia. It really is. Because if I reach one person a day, it's gonna be awesome. If I can get one person to not be toxic to them, to not kill their own spirit, to not kill their own joy, then I'm good. So we done with that preaching part. All right. So engaging in toxic behavior does not make you a bad person. It just makes you human. We can't walk around like we about to walk on water with the big head, like see that light behind me. That halo. Listen, that's just that light. Because honey, sometimes it's a dark cloud I'm walking through, and I'm just trying to shake it off. And the best way for me sometimes to shake it off is to make somebody laugh when I don't feel like laughing. It's a ministry. It's a gift. It's what I do. I just told somebody that today on the phone, talking to Social Security. And I had him laughing so he could barely do his job. And before I called him, I had been laying in the bed waiting on somebody to give me some good news. And I was waiting on the good news because I need it. And I got the call. And it may not be true, but I believe it is. I believe it is because I gave people joy. And even if I got on here fussing and carrying on, in the midst of that, I gave people joy. I made people laugh. So that's where we are with that. So, and you understand that soul work, working on your soul, is hard. This ain't no easy job. It ain't no easy job to tell yourself your own truth. Because being honest with yourself is very hard. But I don't understand why even in this harshness of being honest, why you would not do so. Because I'll tell you this, if you're honest with yourself, when people come at you with what they think is your truth, or if it's your real truth, then all you can do is stand there and go, okay, yeah, that's true. That was me. But I moved on. So why you still back there? You feel me? Man, people come at me all the time thinking they're telling me my truth. But I don't have no secrets. You can talk about anything. I said this on my show before. Talk about anything you want to. Talk about the niggas I've been with. You can talk about when I was out on the road. You can talk about me and my mama relationship. You can talk about me and my sister and my family relationship. You can talk about all that stuff. I don't care. I will happily have a debate with you, and I'll admit to whatever you say is true. But I guarantee you this: you come at me with my truth, I promise you, I'm a dog walk you through yours. And I ain't talking about being mean. We're gonna walk the light fantastic together through yours. And that's how people need to be about people who coming at them because most people who bully you like that and coming at you, they can't take it. They can't take you giving them back what they give. And I ain't talking about the yelling and the screaming. I'm talking about the truth. So let's move on from that. So one of the things that I told Anton today was that, and this is what God had given me the other day. One of the things that we do as toxic people, and which makes us even more toxic, is when we get in trouble or we get sad or bad things come and we're going through a season of just darkness and the water done dried up and the friends done went on and it's just us in that Job experience with ashes on our head and our clothes ripped. When we're going through that thing, sometimes what we do is, and this is what I do, and this is what he does, is we go and we start taking our own counsel. We isolate ourselves and we start thinking about that thing and we focus in on it. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. I don't care how much of a loner you are. You better find you somebody to talk to. Find you somebody to talk to. Because being in your own head and counseling yourself over your own troubles, sis, bruh, it's one of the worst things that you can do, because you're not really fixing anything. You're just running around in circles, going around the merry-go-round over and over and over again, coming at this thing from every angle, like that's gonna help it, and it don't. What you need is an outside person looking in, so they can show you what you can't see. Because you so far back behind the wall, you can't see the door, or you're too close to the wall that you don't see nothing but the wall. You're nothing, even in your peripheral, nothing. You don't see nothing else. But if you step back at least 2 or 3 steps, you go, oh, the wall was right next to your hand. This is how we can be. I'm talking about being toxic still. This is what we do to ourselves. You can't blaming other people for it. It's not them. Sometimes it's you. Yeah, people come in your life and they disrupt you. That's their job. Let them go and do what they got to do. But you do what you got to do. Take care of yourself. Be honest with yourself. Tell yourself your own truth. So when people come around with all that toxic stuff and saying these old slick things out the side of their mouth, you can just look at them and smile and say, yeah, I've addressed that problem with myself in the mirror the other day. You need me to tell you how to listen. The Bible says, let me make sure I think I might have missed the scripture when I printed this off. But the Bible says, who lives by himself. Do I have the other pages to this? No, I think I took that page off because I didn't like it. So anyway, it says, who lives by himself follows his own whim. He is angered by advice of any kind. And that's how we get. We done sat in our own counsel for a whole weekend. Now it's time to go back to work Monday, and you done stewed in your own juices since Friday. And now when somebody sees that you're still stewing on something that you couldn't do nothing about from the beginning, they try to give you advice on it. Now you mad. And I mean, you big mad. And as Ply said, you want to argue. But if you had went and got counsel from your mentor, and we should all have one. If you had went and got the advice that you needed to get, and you wouldn't have stewed in your own juice, you would have enjoyed your weekend. And when you came in Monday, you would have came in and you would have came in with some joy. Going into your own counsel when you already down that's just how the devil works. I'm not talking about when you go into prayer. That's not what I'm talking about. It's different. I'm not talking about that, because you should go into prayer. But I promise you this: 9 times. Let's be fair. 7 times out of 10, when you go into prayer and you come out of prayer, or before you go into prayer, you in your own head having your own little counseling session with yourself, and you telling yourself all the wrong crap. Because I bet you ain't boosting yourself up. Right? Okay, I'm just saying. It says the man who holds aloft seeks every pretext to bare his teeth. He defies all sound judgment. Same thing I just said. We done got into our own counsel, and you hold yourself back. Aloft, I like that word. And you seek every pretext. You looking for somebody to argue with. You're trying to find somebody to argue with. And this is 10 times out of 10, what you about to argue with that person about? What you about to argue with that person about has nothing to do with what's going on with you. It don't have nothing to do with what's going on in your head. It don't concern nothing to nobody else. Because you just want to argue on any pretext. I swear all of this came out of me having a conversation with my boyfriend. Just looking for argument. You want to argue. But you don't want to argue about what you're going through. Because what it's going to do is break you down and make you cry. Especially if the person is giving you sound advice. And most of the time when we go into our own counsel like that, we don't want nobody to give us no advice, because we don't want nobody to tell us we're wrong. We have to be right. I got to be right. I know what I heard. I know what I saw. I know. Not all the time. Go ask somebody else what you think you heard or saw. Ask them what they think about whatever you saw, you heard. And if they are in agreement, then maybe you're right. But if they're not in agreement, don't have no argument with them on the pretext, as that little thing I just read said, of I'm arguing with you because you're wrong and I'm right. So and I like this right here. It says, what is a loner at heart? They want what they want. It is their way and their ideas, or they take their ball and they go home. You feel me? Like you playing Monopoly and y'all everything going good. No. Let's talk about black folks. Let's stay right here in the uppity Negro area. Y'all playing spades at somebody's house and they losing every hand because their partner sucks. 3 hands in, I don't want to play no more. And if it's their house, y'all go home. And if it's not their house, I'm out. Mine is running toward reprobate, where you can't be taught anything. And people who are reprobated in mind and they're unteachable terrify me. They terrify me. Because if you're unteachable and nobody can't tell you anything, I'm scared of you. Because that means you're stuck in this spot inside your head where the only person that is right is you. And so when something pop off and something that needs to be done that's the right way, you're going to do it your way and then you're going to mess something up. That's basically what that is. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in so much pain. But that's basically what that is. Self-care. Get yourself together here. But self-care does not mean isolation. Let's be clear on that. Because sometimes isolation is not the answer. Prayer is the answer, yes. But seek counsel. Again, we go back to my thing that I love to say. Man is not meant to be alone. We're talking about getting married. Man is not meant to be alone. We are meant to have a companion, somebody to counter and make sure that we're okay, to contradict some of the things that we're going through or say. We have to have that in our lives. Because you're not going to always be on the right path. Somebody may have to yank you back the other way. But you're alone and your circle's small. Okay, then do you. But I'm telling you, you're headed toward a big wall. You're headed toward a brick wall. And I mean, you're going head first at full speed. Okay. Genesis 2:18 says, look, it is not good for you to be, I just said that, to be alone. And he will rage. That's what we're talking about. People who are alone, and then when they get with other people and there's a crowd and there's debating and then there's talking, those things don't last, because they will argue you down, yell and scream, and then blame everything on everybody else because they the one right and the other 16 people in the room is wrong. That right there is, yeah. So I have things that it says 13 things. I'm not going to go through them all, but there's a article out. It came out last year, August the 5th, 2021. So look that up. You'll love this article. It's on a page called Shine, SHINE, and it is an article written by Stephanie Jade Wong. Stephanie Jade Wong, WONG. And Miss Wong was talking about the 13 things that don't determine your self-worth. Because along with self-esteem and taking care of ourselves and making sure that we're not toxic is understanding your worth. And there are 13 things that she talks about that are very simple that don't determine your worth. What I want? Yeah, I'm going to read from my book for a second. This is the 3rd chapter. There is a famous saying, failure is not an option. This might be so, but it never stopped me from thinking of myself as one. Loving yourself is not always easy. I did not love myself for the first half of my life because I did not realize how important it was. I did not know that loving me first was not selfish, but self-preservation. And and in that self-preservation, I could then be free to love others. I had grown up accepting that I would always love people more than they loved me. And it was okay. It was okay because that was all that I deserved. Understand, if you are struggling with your emotions and feelings about yourself before you are in a relationship, trust me, it is only going to get worse. Only going to get worse. Being broken and trying to navigate a relationship is hard and is going to be unsuccessful and painful. The struggles you face and take into a relationship can ruin it before even get started. And I'm going to stop there because it goes more into about being in a relationship. And that's how I was in my younger days. I thought I'm always going to love people more than they love me. And that's okay, because that's what I deserve. I don't deserve nobody to love me as hard as I love other people, because those people got to be better than me. They got to be better than me. They dress better than me. They look better than me. They talk better than me. And these are the thoughts I used to have when I was younger. And I ain't talking about I'm talking about up into my 40s. So these are the things that don't determine your self-worth. Self-worth is how you value yourself. It's not based on what others think of you or the things you have or have not accomplished. It comes from within. But it's easy to forget that our worth isn't determined by outside forces. That's the thing we forget. Our self-esteem, who we think we are, doesn't come from out there. It comes from in here. And somewhere along the line, we begin to think that what other people think of us is who we are. And you better get that out your mind, because it's not true. That is not how this works. Your self-worth, your self-esteem, how you think of you comes from you. How you carry yourself and how you do comes from you. It don't have nothing to do with anybody else. It's you. In an article for Philosophy Today, there was a doctor named Amy Moran. She's a psychotherapist. She says that we constantly measure our worth, but we're often not aware of how we do it. Sometimes it's by our careers, our appearance, and other times it's by our relationships. She compares this method of measuring. She says it's like when you decide you want to see how tall you are and you just pick up any random stick. And that's how we measure our self-worth. We measure it from any random thing that's around us. Because even though you may not think so, your career is just something random. What you driving, how you dress, or it's random. That don't make you. That's not you. That's just stuff that's around you. It don't have nothing to do with who you are and all of that other stuff. You just picked up a stick and said, "This is how tall I am." Man, you feel me? That's how I interpreted that. So then it says, when it comes to measuring self-worth, many people use something just as unreliable as a random stick. You may not even consciously think about what type of stick you are using to measure your own self-worth, but it's likely that deep down, after all, when you feel like you're measuring up, you feel good about yourself. But when you feel as though you've fallen short and your self-esteem is likely to hit the floor. And your self-esteem should not fall or rise depending on how you feel and what you've been through that day. Your thoughts of who you are should always remain the same. Oh my God, am I talking to myself? Your thoughts of who you are should always remain the same. No matter what I'm going through, no matter where I'm living, no matter what kind of job I have, no matter what. I'm talking to me, y'all. How I feel about me and who I am and how great I think. None of that should change because of my circumstances. I should still always have the same confidence I had when I was driving a hoopty when I get a Benz. And that's how you should go through life. I'm gonna get through this. I got a little pain today, but we all right. And so that's how you should go through life. How you feel about yourself shouldn't change in retrospect of what you got going on. Because honey, if my self-esteem depended on where I was living at now, I can't even talk about it. So often the stick we're using to measure our worth exists outside of our control. We measure our worth based on the X's on our to-do list, the number of matches on a dating app, the likes on our latest Instagram post, the promotions we receive. The list goes on and on. We tend to notice how our sense of self-worth affects us, aka those I'm not good enough feelings, but we rarely stop and think about how we're doing our calculations. Where do we come up with the numbers? Where do we come up with that list of worth and what it means to me and my self-esteem? How did I start thinking about myself like that? Where did that comparison come from? Who did the rubrics on this? How we measure our worth affects the kind of life we live. And when we let other people and things determine our worth, it sets us up for a roller coaster of emotions and failure. And that's why, in this doctor's opinion and mine, the only thing that measuring stick or however we measure who we are and the only rubrics that we should use is the stuff that we can control. How hard is that? Very. It's it's very hard. Let's just put it that way. Because if it wasn't that hard, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would be talking about other stuff that I like to talk about. Somebody inboxed me the other day and told me they wanted me to do another post about the difference between intimacy and sexuality, and they wanted me to talk about sex and its effects, and also just talk about things that we can do in the bedroom and be intimate throughout the day. So that's coming up. But all of that, and then saying that, I'm saying, in order to get to that point with another person, you better know how to be intimate with yourself. I'm not talking about masturbation, and I'm talking about just sitting and loving on yourself, sitting and quiet and just whispering to yourself how good you are as a person, how sexy your body is, how intelligent you are. You got to give yourself those things. So when other people give it to you, it won't be a surprise because you already know. That's why sometimes people can't take compliments because they don't tell themselves this stuff. Girl, am I preaching to myself here today? Making my own head hurt. That's why it's hard for me to take a compliment because I don't tell myself that enough. So when they tell me, I don't believe them. Oh my God. Using measures stick based on factors you can control, not the external events in your life. When you know who you are and you're pleased with the person that you become, you'll experience a sense of peace through life's inevitable ups and downs. You'll believe in yourself regardless of whether you've been fired, gone through a divorce, and failed to get a promotion. No matter what comes your way, and it'll hurt, and you'll be sad, but it don't matter because you built for this. And you gotten yourself ready for it. You built up your wall of courage. You built up your own self-esteem. Your foundation is solid. Now the whole earth shook around it, but the foundation remains the same. But you have to build on that foundation every day, just like you have to build on your faith every day. And sometimes building your faith is like building a house one brick at a time, and you don't know where the other brick coming from. You don't know where that brick coming from because you didn't buy them in bulk. That's not how building faith works. It's one brick at a time. You don't know when it's coming and how it's coming. But that's what faith is like to me. That's how I see it in my head. I'm a people pleaser, and I let that determine my worth. For the longest time, I always felt like I had to prove myself as worthy to everyone for everything. I did things that made others happy than it made me. I did this so often that I lost track of what I valued. I lost track of what was valuable to me. I lost track of what standards I wanted to be set for me. Because I was living off of everybody else's standards of what I needed to be doing. I am on a journey to learn that what made me happy mattered more than pleasing others. This is one of the hardest lessons for me to learn because every time I think about it, I feel myself going, that is so selfish. That's the voice I'm talking about, y'all. Slap a metal thing over that heifer mouth and drill it in and so she can shut up. Because it's not selfish to do for you first. Because once you give out everything that you give out and nobody pour back into you, you just left empty. And now you back where you started from, feeling like you worthless, feeling like and not having no self-esteem because you gave everybody the affirmations that you needed for yourself. And now you don't believe none of it because you don't feel the way you made them feel when they skipped away from you. I'm still a work in progress, but I now try to measure my self-worth based on my own sense of self rather than how other people perceive me. One of the things that doesn't even determine who you are and doesn't say anything about your self-esteem is your to-do list. Man, you had the same to-do list since high school. But when crossing the stuff out feel real good. Crossing those things off and things that you accomplished feel good. But what about the things you had to skip? How'd that make you feel? Because I'm sure you go over that list in your head all the time. Okay, I turn 23, I'm gonna be doing this. Turn 26, I'm gonna be doing this. When I turn 30, I'm gonna be doing this. By the time I'm 40, and you clicking it off until you get a hiccup. Because my thing is, I started late. I started driving trucks at the age of 50. And then at 48, 49, and then I said, okay, by the time I get 3 years in, I'll be able to buy a house and a car cash. The joke was on me. And so do I let that ruin my self-esteem? Do I let that ruin my confidence? No, I'm not supposed to, but I did. It did because it was on my to-do list and I couldn't check it off. I couldn't check it off. Hold on one second. Yeah, sorry about that. I got somebody knocking at my door. So, and somebody calling me. That is crazy. Who are these people? Okay, I don't understand why people calling me in the middle of it. So anyway, so we're going to finish this up. And so that was one thing. Then it says your job, no matter the type of job you have. I hope you can hear me over that ringing because I don't know how to stop it. I don't know why somebody's calling me. So no matter the type of job you have or how much you love it or hate it, your job doesn't define who you are either. I'm really trying to figure out who that is calling me on this thing when I'm trying to. Thank you, because I don't know how to stop that. I don't know how to stop that stuff. I'm not savvy enough. Now they're on my. Oh my God. So anyway, nobody. So your social media following doesn't determine it. Your age doesn't determine. Good God, your appearance, which is my big issue, especially now, doesn't determine. It should not change your self-esteem and your thoughts about yourself. It shouldn't change the positive ideas and thoughts that you have about yourself. And I'm guilty of that. I compare myself to people all the time. And I'm very guilty of that. And it does bother me. It does make me feel less. It does bother my self-esteem. It bothers how I think about myself. And I'll put that their positive will become my negative. How far you can run. Honey, I ain't ran since the 70s. Promise you. And we talk about the early 70s. 70, 71. And I'm born in 68. Calculate that. So, your grades, the number of friends you have. I told you these are good, nice 13. Your relationship status, the money, your likes, anything or anyone but yourself. Those are the 13 things that determine that do not determine what your self-worth is. They don't determine who you are. They shouldn't affect your self-esteem. They should not. So we're getting ready to close. So then this is the question. How do we reverse what we say and think about ourselves? How do we change that thing in our head and flip the switch over? How do we do that without guidance. And the only thing I can say is pray. I know it sounds easy and I know it sounds simple, but I'm in the struggle with you. I'm on the journey with you. I'm on the journey. I'm in the struggle with you. Pray. Ask God to give you the affirmations that you need, because every affirmation is not for every person. That affirmation may not pertain to me. And so what's the point of me saying that in the mirror every morning when that don't have nothing to do with me? Tara. Hey, Tara, I hope you found me. If you did, send another message because I see your message. So that's where we are. How do we change how we think about ourselves? How do we flip the switch in our head to stop looking at all of the negative things about ourselves? And we start, hey, she found me. Hi, Tara. So we're talking about self-esteem. We're about to close, but you can watch it back over the thing. But we're talking about how do we change the negative things that we think about ourselves, because it's automatic. We done did it so long. We done thought about the negative, and we done did that so long that it's hard for us to click that off. So how do we do that? How do we change that? I don't know. The only thing I can give you is the answer that goes through my head, and that's pray. Oh, that tea not hot no more. It's pray. Because automatically, and I'm talking about me. I don't know nothing about what y'all got going on. I'm talking about me. I'll use my story as an example. My life. It's like when I wake up in the morning and I get out of bed and I walk around or whatever, I'm fine. But dog, when I get into that mirror, when I get into the mirror and I look at myself, how I am now, I don't even know who that is. And sometimes I just stare at her. And then I start going down the list of everything that's wrong. From here to here to here to down. I go down the list. And then I'll brush my teeth and do my lashes and get myself together, and I'll put some clothes on. And you would think that the negativity, it doesn't. And this is not all the time, because sometimes you catch me and that sun hit me right, or I put on an outfit that I really, really, really like, and you can't tell me nothing that day. But that is not how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to feel that way about myself, naked or clothed. You're supposed to feel confident and beautiful and all, no matter what. So how do we get there? How do we do that? Somebody talk to me. This is a conversation. This is not a lecture. How do you do that? Where do you go to find that? Because I don't know. And I'm not afraid to say I don't know, because I don't. That's right, Tara. Prayer. You got to pray. But this is the thing. If you have and this is why I don't knock people for not having a relationship or whatever. And so prayer to some people is foreign. But just because prayer to some people is foreign doesn't mean that they have to live in a place inside their head where they don't have no self-esteem. You understand what I'm saying? This is why throwing scriptures at some people don't work. They don't have a relationship with God. They don't know how to pray. They don't know how to do any of that stuff. And so before you get to that point, what do? I don't know. These are the hard questions, because sometimes you ask a question and there's an easy answer, but it ain't always the right answer. I wish I knew what it was. I wish I knew how to fix it. Tara is one of my best friends from high school. One of my very best friends from high school. Her and another young lady saved my life. And I'm not talking metaphorically. Every day there were thoughts in my high school years. I hated high school. I hated middle school. And because we had just moved here from Georgia. And I still had, one of my guests wants to come in. There's Coco. Coco coming in, y'all. I love this lady right here. The show might go on for another 20 minutes. Hey, boo. Hey, I love you. Thank you for joining me. My tea ain't hot no more. And Tara came, and I was getting kind of despondent. Then I see Felicia pop up. Tara done came in. Look at Kakoa. Hey, Coco family. Okay, anyway, I'm back. I'm sorry. We're adults again. Here we go. So, Tara, you're right. Like I said, this prayer, she says, that's right. They haven't been taught or their faith is not. Exactly. So this is what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about real people. I'm talking about people that you think, oh, everybody knows Jesus. No, they don't. They know the name. They know the definition of what being a Christian is. They know all of that. But listen, this is what this show is about self-counsel. Pulling yourself into self-counsel when you're going through a bad situation is the worst thing you can do. Now, going into prayer in your closet is great. But what you going to do before you go in there when you come out? Because self-counsel is you playing tennis by yourself. You know what that ball is? What you worried about. And then you're slapping it from one end of your head to the next end of your head, working around it to eat at it. And by the time you get on your knees and pray to God, you done convinced yourself that I can't do nothing else to do about it but prayer. And the logical thing to tell people is, oh, you should have prayed first. What if you don't have a relationship with God? What if you don't have a relationship with the church? What if you don't know nobody who know how to pray? What if you live under a bridge and you under there, you don't want nobody? I want this podcast and my life to reach people who don't know any of this stuff that we talking about. I don't want to be deep on people, because that's what run people from the church. That and the fact that people don't tell their real process, because they think that the goals that you've reached are unattainable to them, because you didn't tell them that, yeah, there's a 5-step program. But nigga, you've been stuck on number 3 for almost 4 years. And so you skipped over that and kept on going. Came out in the end. No, you didn't, because you still a liar. And you just stole from your mama the other day. So let's talk to real people. Let's start at the beginning and I hate the word dummy it down, because you're not dumbing it down. All you're doing is doing what Jesus did. Jesus told parables all day. Some of them they understood, and some of them he had to redo and twist it around another way. And he wasn't dummying it down. He was making sure that you were clear on what he was telling you, so that you would do yourself some good. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not Jesus, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be clear and I'm going to be concise in what I tell people, because I want people to get it. I was very upset about this book. Very upset, because it's amateurish. There are mistakes because it wasn't proofread by a professional. But I'll tell you this. My point is given in the simplest way it could have been given. And that's what I stand on. Exactly, Sarah. And that's what I stand on. Now, the next one's going to be better. But this one, I'm not changing anything. I know I got some people that want to proofread and redo another copy of this with a better cover. Fine, I'll do that. But this is mine. And I love the people who bought it the first go around. Because that's the one that came out of my heart, because I did it all by myself. I did it all by myself. And that's why it has mistakes and little chinks in it and little things that went wrong. You know why? Because this is my life. And my life got mistakes and little. I feel like preaching, but I'm not a preacher. You have to be. I want to talk to people who are not already set in their ways in Christ. Because once people get set in their ways, it's hard to get them to move. I'm telling you, the hardest person to convert back to anything else is a Christian. People say, well, people backsliding and backsliding is a different, because backsliding means you just tired. You don't want to do the work no more. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in a lot of pain. Backsliding does not mean you don't want to. It just means you don't want to do the work no more. You just decided you're going to live your life and do what you want to do. It does not mean that you have forgotten and lost sight of who God is and what he has for your life. It doesn't mean that. It just means you're tired. I don't want to do this no more. It don't seem like it's worth it to me. That's all it means. And so this is the question, Coco. Because I got to, oh my God. I don't know what's going on, y'all, but I love y'all. This was the question. The question was this: how do we reverse what we say and think about ourselves? Because right before you came on, I was saying this. When I get up in the morning, I'm fine. But when I step in front of that mirror in that bathroom naked and I see what has been done to my body, and I see that, I start ticking off the list of everything that's wrong. And it's so automatic. I don't even realize I'm doing it most anymore until me and Anton was talking about it, talking about something else. And that just came into, it just naturally flowed into a different conversation like the one I'm having now. So that's my question to you, Coco. How would you address that? How do we reverse how we think about ourselves? Not a scripture, not a prayer. I'm just talking about having a real conversation with a homeless person on the street. How do you reverse that? Because it's you talking to you now. You know you better than you. And you know all your faults. So the faults that other people don't know, you know how to. I done dog walk myself plenty times in the morning. I told myself all kind of stuff and be looking in the mirror. Listen, I'm gonna let you answer. Let me tell you what happened when I first found out I had cancer. And the 2 days before they were about to cut my breast off, I went in the bathroom, I closed the door, and I looked at them. And you know what I did? I went off on them. I went off on them like they was my enemy. They took my last $3 out my pocketbook. How dare you betray me after all the $50 and $100 bras I put you in? How dare you betray me when this cleavage done got us free dinners and lunches? What is wrong with you? I went off. I cried and I screamed and I yelled, and when it was all over, when they took them, they gone. They done. I ain't mad. I told them what I had to tell them. Now, you can think that's crazy if you want to, but that's how I got through. So now we're going to go back and we're going to get, I was just giving Coco time to get it together, which is stupid because she usually always have it together and it don't make no sense. But come on, Coco, bring it in, baby.
Well, I mean, when it comes down to you having to talk to yourself about yourself,
yeah,
I mean, I check myself often. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it don't take somebody else to have to check me. I'm always checking myself. Well, I'll go to before I knew who God was, right? So
right.
Before I got saved, I was always very self-conscious. Always trying to be self-aware. I did not always like what I saw about me.
Right.
I had a somewhat low self-esteem issue, but not fully low self-esteem, if you know what I mean. If a person would go to try to say something about my look,
right,
then it would piss me off, and I would go off and say, "Well, you know, you don't have to like it, but I can tell you somebody who do." You know, one of those type of things. But I never really was happy with who I was back in the day. Because I know that I was not where I was supposed to be. So with that being said, I never was satisfied with where I was.
Right.
I'm not even satisfied with where I am right now. You know, because I feel like I'm playing catch up and I still can't catch up. I feel like there's years that I allowed to go by because I did not have the fight and the will and the drive that I got now. If I would have had it years ago, I could have been further than I am, type of situation. And you know, you have to know yourself, and don't nobody know you better than you. But you have a lot of people. You have a lot of people that act like they don't know themselves, and you act like you're capable of. I know exactly what I'm capable of.
Right.
I could be very loving when I need to be, and then I can cut you down to your kneecaps with my mouth if I got to.
Right.
And I try not to be that type of individual anymore. You know what I mean? I try to be the other person now. I don't like to be angry now because I used to walk around in anger all the time.
Yeah.
I was angry with the world type of situation. And I didn't like people. I didn't like people. I had a problem with people.
Yeah.
You know, And I realized that the reason why I didn't like people is because half of them didn't like themselves. You know, they will always want to tell you about you, but they can never tell you about them.
Yeah. And that's where I'm glad you said that, because that really confirms what I started talking about at the very, very beginning. I'm sorry, respect. You just confirmed what I was talking about us being toxic to our own selves. And the problem with being toxic to your own self is that we put too much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, just to make it's going to make us spiral into bad habits. And toxic behavior does not make you a bad person. It just makes you human. But this is the thing about being toxic to yourself, is that you're teaching other people to be toxic to you. And so this is where my question comes in. How do we, because once we reverse the toxicity in ourselves, we will be able to teach other people that you're not going to be toxic to me either.
Right.
You understand? Once you begin to rearrange your mind about you, listen, not about what out here looks like, but what's in here. Because I just read it. Your car, your house, your friends, the bread bottoms, your beat face, the jaw, none of that has anything to do with you and who God made you to be. Because that's just the fluff.
Right.
That's just grace and mercy right there. That's me providing your needs according to my riches. That's that right there. But who are you?
Right.
And so that's we still right there. How do we not let our self-esteem change because our circumstances change? You understand? Me living in this versus where I lived before, that I thought was wonderful, should not have changed how I felt about myself, yet it did. So how do we reverse that? How do we fix that? How do we teach ourselves and other people how to not let our circumstances determine our self-esteem? Now, your happiness might fluctuate, because happiness means you happy because something happened, but your joy and your peace should never be disturbed.
Right. Well, it's bad when your joy and your peace is disturbed by you.
It ain't even people. We talking about yourself now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's bad when your joy and your peace is disturbed by you.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that you're the one doing it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't realize that it's coming from
them. It's like an automatic response.
They got the me against the world complex going
right, but is it learned? Is this kind of... Hold on a minute, Coco. Tara, if you're still there, can you go into my comments? Or no, actually go on my Bobby page and tell people how to get to where you found me at. I'm not sure why people can't find me anymore, but I really, and you know what I think it is? It's the algorithm, but it's my fault because I wasn't consistent. But it's also not my fault because I'm not going to come on here. Like right now, I've only got a few more minutes of maybe about, I might have 30 more minutes left in me. I am in so much pain. But I won't let that. I have to do this. I promised 2 people that I was going to be there for this station, and I'm going to do the best that I can. Thank you, Tara. But this is the thing. So our self-esteem is the esteem that we have for ourselves. So what about the fact that we do things that chink away at that in order to get to a place where we think our self-esteem is going to be uplifted? I'm trying to act it the right way, and I think I'm screwing it up.
Well, I think I get what you're trying
to say. Go ahead. Please get it, because I'm trying to, like, it's scramble up.
The biggest takeaway is when I was dealing with self-esteem issues, it's because of what I dealt with in life.
Yeah.
So coming up, you was only beautiful depending on what you look like. You was only
still the same thing.
Right. You was only beautiful depending on if you had the right body and all
social
of that.
Media and social media perpetuates that. Right. And yeah.
Right. And then to men back in the day, you was only it if you was one of them chicks that was about doing certain types of stuff. You know what I mean?
Preach
And
it.
so when you was one of them type of people that stood out and was just like, no, I got morals. I ain't for no, I'm not about doing that with you, Tom, Dick, and Harry type of situation. But that's what they wanted you to be, because they wanted you to be that chick. I want it. I was always one of them that stuck out kind of like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
I went out the clubs. People, why you here? You shouldn't even be in here type of situation. You know what I mean? And I dealt with a lot of rejection. So my self-esteem came from rejection issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where as I got older, I didn't care about the rejection. I was actually glad that people started rejecting me. Because it changed, because I started seeing myself differently. I started realizing that my value wasn't in the outside look. My value was what I held inside myself.
Right.
And that took time for me to realize that as I got older. I think by the time I hit 21, everybody used to tell me I was
keep on talking. I think hold on. Yo, keep on talking, please. I got
I think that by the time I hit 21, everybody used to tell me that I was a young person trapped in an old soul body. You know what I mean? And and at the end of the day, I have to say that I'm glad that I'm that way. I don't mind having the wisdom to share or being that type of individual, because it has really taken me to places that I never thought that I would be within myself. As I stated earlier, I didn't like people, and my issue with people was an issue that I had with myself. So I would see people do stuff that reminded me of certain things that I thought that I was delivered or set free from, and I realized that I wasn't as delivered as I thought. And that's one of the issues that people tend to try to bypass even now. I mean, that particular issue you deal with in the church and outside the church too. You got people battling their issues where you think that you done gave that issue up, but let something come up and you realize that you're not as delivered as you thought. And I dealt with a lot of that where I thought, I thought that I was free from this and I'm not. So I got to go back to the drawing board. What step did I go past, or did I overstep that I can't even, that I don't know that I missed? And when it comes down to your place of progression, you don't want to miss any steps. You know what I mean? Thank you, Tara. And you don't want to miss any steps. You want to go through the progressive steps, because it helps you become who you're going to be. It helps you build character. It helps you see yourself in multiple ways, so that if you begin to see yourself in the right way, you can intel help somebody else, because you can't help nobody if you don't want to deal with you first. You know what I mean? You can't help another individual if you don't know how to handle self. And that's just it. That's just it tied up in a nutshell. That's it. I could not help, like, say for instance, Tara, and hey, Coach Fee, if you still watching, I couldn't help you, Tara, with an issue that you have if I've never gone through anything. How can I give you advice on something that I know nothing about? Right? I wouldn't be able to do that. So at the end of the day, I'm grateful that I went through the process that I went through. It took a lot out of me. It took a lot of learning, a lot of dealing, a lot of self-healing, a lot of self-awareness to get past some things, but I'm glad that I went through what I went through to get to where I am today. Now, when you heard me earlier say that I'm not happy with where I am, it's not because I'm not happy with life. I'm just not settled. I'm never content to where I'm just good with a situation. You know what I mean? Like right now, I got so much stuff that I'm working on, stuff that I got to get done, because I promised myself, not other people, but I promised myself that I was going to make certain things happen this year. And I plan on making them happen before 2022 goes out. So, it's things of that nature that you have to do upon yourself. Sometimes you have to be untaught some of the things that you have been taught because you were not taught properly. And all wisdom and all directions or advice given is not always sound advice. So you don't have to accept everything that's also spoken into you or over your life either. So I came up with a lot of that where people spoke things over me and just felt like I needed to accept it. And no, you don't have to accept everything that's spoken into you or over you. If it does not agree with your spirit, then don't accept it.
But this is the thing too. Sometimes people speak things into our spirit, not because they have this true gift of seeing anything. Is because, like I said, it's what we push out into the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It's how we treat ourselves, and that's what that is the thing I'm grappling with me and God talking, is because it ain't that I have no confidence or no faith. People keep asking me, girl, where's your faith? Girl, my faith ain't went no doggone way. My faith in God ain't went nowhere. It's the faith and the doubt and the way I feel about me and how I'm handling things. Because I think I'm sucking at this. You understand? But that's not how I feel about it. Because I'm using the outside things to determine the level of my self-esteem. Mm-hmm. But none of this stuff is me. It's where I am at this moment, but it ain't me. Right. It ain't who girl, this chemo is going through me. Like, I don't understand. It hurt. It's not me. My circumstances and what I drive and what I wear, and it's not me. You know what's me? It's what comes out of my mouth. Is when I see a woman and God tell me to go just say something about sick, or I see somebody homeless, or if you ain't homeless, you got money. If I see somebody in need of the ministry that I portray, this is the most unprofessional show. I've listened. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm a clown. I just been thinking about this thing to myself. Have you ever seen Oprah with a blanket? Calm down.
Look, I do it too. Listen. I do it too.
I'm not sick necessarily. If you've never been through anything like this, it's hard to put your finger on what's wrong. So sometimes when my boyfriend asks me what's wrong and I can't tell him, he get upset because he think, oh, you're hiding it from me. I just don't know. I know that whatever going on, something is off. Right. And I can't explain what's off, but it's off. And I don't like feeling off because it makes me, I feel like I'm tilting or something. And I'm having I don't know what you call it. I call it cycling. So they're not that bad when you're looking at it.
Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah. And they'll be almost black in a few minutes. And my feet are already black. That's how it cycles through. And it goes away when it goes away. But that's not the part. That wasn't the point. I just want you to know the facial expressions I'm making are just, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know. And I don't got
like I be trying to hold my facial expression.
Yeah, I can't. And I'm not. You know me. I'm just me. But I really wanted to do this show. I really wish I had more people on here, and not because of likes and ratings, because I think a lot of people have these internal thoughts of themselves that are so negative that when they spew stuff out of their mouth, it don't have nothing to do with the other person. It's what I said earlier. It says, I'm going to read it again because I think the way it's written is freaking perfect. It says, he who lives by himself follows his own whim. He is angered by advice of any kind. That's a person that got some internal issues that you can't fix. And then the other one that I like the best, this is one I really like. Where is it? I think hold on, y'all. I done lost it. But yeah, there's a couple of them. I just love the way it's written because it says it better. Here it is. The man who holds aloft, that means hold off to himself, seeks every pretext. That means he just looking for something.
Yeah.
To bare his teeth. He defies all sound judgment. You every time something pop off, don't care how minor it is, because you got your own self-esteem and self-issue, you popping off. And it don't
But
have nothing to do with the situation. It has to do with you and what you think of you. And when somebody says something that goes against the grain of what you, girl, me and Antoine been arguing for 3 days on the same thing. Because you is what you think of.
You gotta remember that the Bible say, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Exactly. And people say only drunk people. No, you're just a liar. Because it's not just drunk people or high people or children.
No.
There are people out here that don't have no filter on their lip. No. And they will say whatever they're going to say. And let me tell you why they do it. I'm going to give you the reason why they do it, because I used to do it all the time. You know why they do it? Because it keeps you arguing about that over there. It's called distraction, boo-boo. See that? It's called distraction. That's distraction. Because because if you stop long enough to listen to what they're saying, and then you and instead of you getting mad at what they're saying and you listen, and then you come at them with the right thing, you know what's going to happen? You're going to hit something on them. And that's what they're trying to avoid. Yeah. Tara says, everyone does not wish goodness upon you. Girl, you better preach. The issue is within them. That's the negativity. You have to find a place in yourself and speak nothing but positivity over yourself. When that negative flows off the tongue, just turn it around. You know what, Tara? You better preach. I think the deacon's sleeping and ain't no ushers. Preach in here today. What come out people's mouths is what they meant to say. And this is how I know they meant to say it. You cannot rewind that.
No, because I tell people all the time, you meant to say what you said, and this is my motto, and you know it. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If you don't
cannot take it back.
Say it.
You can't take it back. Right. Once you say something, you can't rewind it. And this is how I feel about apologies. I don't like them. I don't like apologies, because apologies only make the person who did the wrong, it only makes them feel better, because now you got to live with all. And man, me and Anton been having this argument. I still have to live. The person still has to live with what you said.
Yeah.
I'd rather you beat me up, because the bruise is gonna go away. I'm gonna forget the pain. But you say something to me, and that's what's wrong with. And see, I tell you, that's what's wrong with Bobby. That was the takeover was about. Because I was so humble. I wasn't humble. No, I wasn't. I was scared and shy and timid and all of that stuff. Tara tell you, this ain't how I was in high school. This wasn't me. I was funny, but this wasn't me. This was the person that you know right now. No, you wouldn't recognize me in high school. But this is the thing you better say. Exactly. And apologies don't mean nothing, because you're not really getting rid of the pain, especially if you said something. Ain't nothing you can do to take it back. Now I'm always remember you said that. I'm always remember. Now I gotta put a voice over on the memory, so every time I think about you, I don't have to cringe away or think, God, did that nigga say 2 days ago I was stupid? You feel me? So your apology means nothing, because you have done and said something to me that has changed my idea. Sometimes my idea of me, but that's wrong. But it also changes my idea of you, because now the respect I have for you just went down a couple of levels. Now that's the issue you need to worry about. Yeah, Tara, no, people don't believe I wasn't like this at all. All I thought about in high school was how I was going to end my life and how I was going to do it so it wouldn't be. I promise you, on everything that is Harry Potter and that ugly thing on Star Wars, Chewbacca, I promise you on those ugly things there, that I thought and wrote suicide notes on a daily basis. And you know what? In my timidness and scaredness, I didn't want to make no mess. So I was trying to figure out how to do it, and nobody had to clean up nothing. That's how bad my mind was in high school. Them girls dug me out of them girls. Both of them churchy. Tara still had a little street in her. Lisa was just churchy. Lisa came out speaking in tongues, I'm pretty sure. I just had a conversation with her for 3 hours driving. She kept me company on that road the other day.
We were total opposites. I was always fighting.
Yeah, and exactly. And I wasn't a fighter. I didn't know how. My body had always been subjugated by a male. You feel me? So I didn't know that I could fight back. I didn't know. And then, my mom was old school. As children back in the day, you ain't have no side. You ain't have no story to tell about no adult. I told one of my I thought, okay, so let me tell you from the beginning. And this is how people are, and why some people wait for years and years to tell on their predator. So we used to go back and forth to Atlanta, and my mom and them would take us. They would stay a couple of days, and they would come back home, and it would just be me and my brothers up there. My brothers then would disappear. I don't know where the heck they went at, but that's what boys do out in the country. And one day I was sitting on the porch with one of my uncles, and because I had been molested for years, and this was before my cousin started in on me, molesting me. This was before that. My uncle, he was the husband of my favorite aunt. And I'm not gonna cry, y'all. I'm not gonna cry. We were sitting on the porch, and in the country, if you're a girl, at some point you're gonna sit on the porch and you're gonna shuck them peas out that big old pot. Oh God, I hated them freaking peas. And the bag was so big, and you would be. It was just me and him, and because I had been molested so much, I was sick a lot. Tara tell you, my cycle was plenty of times they had to cover me up, or they had to walk with me, or they had to do something because it just would, and I mean just buckets all the time. When I stood up, and they were just such old girls. It was like they brought extra clothes for me. It just was crazy. I don't know where that love came from because I was so awful. But anyway, I didn't realize that. I knew my dad. My daddy knew that I was sick all the time and I was tired, and they couldn't figure out what was going on, because I wasn't telling them it was my period. I wasn't telling them that. I was just telling them I was tired. I didn't feel good, and I know they could see my hands was all yellow, and I was getting jaundice. I was losing so much blood on a daily basis. Wow. So my stepdad, and this is where my nephew got the story wrong when he got on Facebook and tried to dog me. But this is fine. So my dad would come in and, he would take my temperature, he would feel my neck, and then he would put his hand on my head, and then he would feel my heartbeat. Nowhere near the little nubs I call booze, none of that. And then he would put his hand on my hand like this, and he would just hold it. I don't know if he was praying or not. But to me, you understand, to me, because I didn't know any other way that men were. My mama married my daddy when I was already 10. But to me, he was doing the same thing that every other nigga I knew was doing. Do you understand the story I'm telling? Am I being clear about why I'm saying it this way?
Yeah.
So when we were sitting on the porch with my uncle, I told my uncle, my daddy touches me inappropriately. I didn't say it that way. I said it as a little girl, and I was crying. And he just sat and he was like, okay, don't cry, whatever. So my mom and them came back, and they picked us up. My mama didn't speak to me all the way home. She was angry and she was agitated. And when Trisha was angry, nobody else in that house was happy. Nobody. And we couldn't figure out what it was. I couldn't figure out what it was. And we got back, and she called the pastor to the house, and she was telling the pastor how just mean and evil I was, and the things that I would say to get people attention. And I've always been that way. And this ain't no shade at my mama. This is just my mama. It is what it is. I loved her. This is my mama. And so Apostle asked me, and I said, yeah, he'd do that or whatever. And then my mom didn't talk to me for a long time after that. And I kept going to church. Everything went back to normal. And years later, I talked to my daddy. And this is my stepdad. I talked to my daddy. And we talked about it. And I told him what had been happening to me. And that's when he understood why I was the way I was. And that's when our whole relationship changed. And I say that to say this. If you don't heal yourself and let God work on what's in your mind, I would have still been thinking or dead. I would have been dead right now. People say, "Oh, I don't know where if I." Yes, you do. You know exactly where you would be if God wasn't in your life. Jail, on the street, a sane asylum. Yep. Don't tell me you don't know where you're gonna be. That kills me. I don't know what I do. I don't. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You know exactly where you be, and you know exactly what you be doing. Stop lying. I hate that saying. These traditional things. Stop saying stuff because it sounds good. Because you know exactly where you would be and exactly what you would be doing, and you know exactly where you be going on the straight and narrow, straight to hell.
Yep.
So I sorry I had to get that out. So what I'm saying is I had those thoughts of myself because I allowed, and not knowingly. You understand? Because it wasn't my fault. And the funny thing is, I still have to remind myself at 53 that it wasn't my fault. That there is no way in this life that a 3 and 5-year-old could turn on an adult on purpose.
If a person has never been through that, they don't know how to understand and they don't know how to deal. One of the things that you will get and you'll understand and that you will see from people that have been there and dealt with it also is that it sucks. It can ruin your life. It make you feel some kind of ways about yourself. It make you feel some kind of way about men. It takes a long time for me. It took me a long time to like men after it happened to me. I never wanted to be the other way. So don't get me wrong. I never was into chicks. So that was never my thing. But I did not like dudes.
Right.
I didn't want no dudes to be to try to be around me. I didn't want no dude, especially no dude trying to fill up on me. Oh, we had a whole problem. I'm gonna break you down to your kneecaps because we were gonna go down swinging together. It just wasn't gonna happen.
I just started dressing like a dude. Ask Tara. I have baggy pants, big old shirts. People thought I was gay forever. Yep. Most of high school until I started hanging around with them. And I started wearing skirts. But even when I started wearing skirts and stuff like that, it was the biggest skirts that you could find.
And see, I was
the most unattractive as you could be.
I was the total opposite. I still dressed like, a chick, and I still dressed like, with the little swag, as people say now, or whatever. But I just didn't like if a man gave me a compliment.
Exactly, Terry.
Like, I didn't like that. Mm-hmm. Why you complimenting me? Mm-hmm.
But it also affects you with a man, and he has a woman, and he has a girl child.
Yeah.
Because you don't mean to. You don't mean to. But sometimes the first thing you in your mind, especially when they're real close, you think to yourself, I hope that he's not. And oh my God, is she okay? It's just so people don't understand that it affects you your entire life. Yeah, Tara, and I told her it's in my book. I'll tell you the truth. Now I wasn't into chicks, I didn't think, but I tell you this: the first person I felt, and it ain't Tara and Felicia, because everybody keep asking me, it wasn't Tara or Felicia. It was before I even met them. Before I went in high school, there was a girl neighbor, and the first person I fell in love with as a couple was a girl, but I didn't want to have sex with her. I just loved her because she showed affection to me in a way that had never been done to me by a male or a female, because none of my family is touchy-feely. My mama was, and this is what I talk about in the book too, is my mama, I think something happened to her. And whatever happened, she might have told somebody and they don't know, or whatever happened, it went to her grave with her. And I understand now what I wish I understand then, that a broken person trying to raise another broken person is not possible. Right. And my mama did the best she could. And when I tell you, after you think about it that way, I realize how awesome my mama was, because she did it broken. And and she tried to make up for it over and over again. And I made it hard for her because I was very independent. I wanted to be just like her. She didn't ask nobody for no help. And the first time I met white people was when I moved here, because we didn't know nothing in the projects in Atlanta. And then white people was listening to her. I want to be just like my mama. So I didn't ask for no help. And to her, something was wrong with me for that. Because to her, that was defiance. It wasn't independence. It wasn't any of that, because we didn't learn about that stuff until we were older. Because nobody taught her that.
Right. But you know the old saying also goes that hurt people hurt people. You know, my mom was a hurt individual, and I couldn't. One thing that I realize now, and I realized it, you know, early on in my 20s, is that you can't expect to get something from somebody that they don't have to give.
Right.
So you can't expect something from somebody that they just don't have the capacity.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was like the biggest thing. My mama didn't tell me that she loved me. I never heard it. I heard it right before she died.
Yeah, and my mom was like that. But my mom, when I turned 47, and that was my very last suicide attempt, and we had this really, really huge argument, and then I left, and I moved in with my apostle for about 3 years. And there was a lot of anger between us and all of that. But Apostle was just so gentle with me and all of that. But after I got out on the road and I came into almost several different accidents, I told myself, if she never says it back, I'll say it every time I talk to her. And so I started saying it. And I would say it in such a forceful way, it would force it out of her mouth. And then the way she would say, Barbara, at the end, it let me know she meant it, and she didn't mean to say it. She would say, I love you too, Barbara, like that. Like it was a question, like, what the hell am I saying? Because my mom wasn't like that, but I forced her to be like that. And then I realized, y'all done made me cry my lash off. And then I realized that, right before she died, that she was on chemo. But I would come home on the weekends and cook for her, Coco. And I would cook and she would, oh, your food is so good. She would ask for seconds. But after she died, I was sitting on the sofa one day. I was eating. I couldn't taste nothing. And I just started laughing. And then I started crying and rocking back and forth. You know what I realized? She couldn't taste none of that stuff. She couldn't taste none of my food. But she would have seconds. And then she would tell me how great it tasted. After that, you couldn't tell me my mama didn't love me. You understand me? She couldn't. Man, I can't even talk about Trisha right now because I'm going to be talking about my mama, think about my mama all night. Trisha loved me enough to lie and say that she couldn't taste that food. And I cooked every weekend. My brother was tearing it up. I knew it was good, but she wouldn't know because now I went through what she went through. And now I understand.
Right.
And this is what I also understand. You don't go through stuff for yourself.
Your life ain't about you. You know, people ask me all the time, you know, I had a long conversation with my spiritual parents the other day.
Right.
And my spiritual parents asked me, they was like, well, have you always been dealing with health issues like most of your life? And I said, yeah, you know, I was born into a place of affliction. So I've always been afflicted with something. You know, I came out the womb like that. I came out the womb sick. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's still about how you deal with it and how you handle whatever you got going on.
Right.
So I tell people that, you know, even though the afflictions may be different, even though I've been dealing with stuff, my issues a lot longer than some other people, it still don't make the difference of that you got an affliction and I got one too. We just afflicted differently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like at the end of the day, I can't tell you how to handle your stuff. You can't tell me how to handle mine because we're dealing with two different situations.
Right.
Right. And it's just like, if I can't tell you what it feels like to go through that. I can't tell you what it feels like, how I know you should feel like after your treatment. I can only say what I know I have seen my family members go through.
Right.
That have had it or dealt with, or friends that have had it and how they came out and how
and
they
see how it gets darker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I can only tell you about that. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you go get your treatments and when I go get mine, it's different. My treatments hurt all the way to the bone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it ain't kosher. You know, that sitting up there on that thing 4 hours get on your nerve.
Yeah. God.
You know? So, and then I have to do it often. You know what I mean? I'm doing this stuff two, 3 times out of the month. I used to have to do it twice a week. So I'm glad it is, you know.
But this is the thing that that the point I'm just trying to get across, and not saying they're not good people out there, podcasters and all of that. So I love y'all. I love your podcast, Coco, and all of that. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you got to get down there where people at. And you gotta, and that's one thing I learned from my apostle. I done see her get on her knees in a $300, $400, $500 dress and wrestle a demon. You gotta get down where people at.
Yeah.
In order for people like that homeless man come over here, shirt unbuttoned because it ain't got no buttons, pants held up with a string, shoes flopping. I said, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm angry with you. Because and he said, why? I said, because that's not necessary. All you have to do is stop asking me for change and ask me to get you a set of clothes. I said, because you got too much pride and you're going to come rake this yard because you need $1.95, I'm going to walk. Well, next time I go to Goodwill, I'm going to bring you some clothes. You're not going to walk around like that and say I'm your friend, because then when it come down to questioning you say and all that other stuff, nobody ain't going to be able to question my friendship to you.
Right.
Because I don't go to the gas station for you to wash my windows. He washed my windows every single time I go to the gas, and not the front, all of them, all the mirrors, and he'll ask me, how you feel today? This is a man who ain't got nothing. He's sleeping on the side of the gas station, and I'll tell you this, and this is the truth. If I had another room, he'd be sleeping in it. And then people say, well, you can't not trust every doggone body.
Right.
You can't, and that's the argument. This is Anton. I tried to break up with Anton. I've been trying to break up with Anton for a week. Judge me, I don't care. So he just cute. I can't. The boy is good looking. And so maybe I shouldn't look at his picture when we argue. You think I should? No. Okay, never mind. We'll talk about that later. Anyway,
that might help. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's just so cute. Good God. And so we were, and the reason that I was trying to do that is because he don't listen. When you're talking to him, he's thinking of the next question he's gonna ask, or he's trying to figure out what's behind what you're saying, because he's so mistrustful. And then today he broke down and he literally cried, and I know, no, we're talking about boo-hoo crying, because I told him I meant it. He said, say you mean it and I'll never call you again. And I said, Anton, I'm doing, because when you yelling, going back and forth with him, he used to that. And you're just mad, and he'll just say he love you at the end and it's over. I've been doing this for a week. And today he was like, say it, and I said, I'll never call you again. I said, Anton, I'm going to let the minutes run out on his phone. You ain't got but two more minutes, and I'm not going to put no more minutes on the phone, and I'm done. I can't do it. I cannot deal with the fact that you're going to come out the same way you went in, because you're willing to read the word, say the right things, but you're not applying it to your life.
Yeah.
So he said, you just don't understand. You're going to leave. And he says what people who are, because he's basically a narcissist. And he said, what, you're going to leave me like everybody else? I said, listen, you can be Ike all you want to, but this is not team. Because I am going to leave you, and not like everybody else left you. I'm going to leave you with the idea that there are good people in this world, because I'm not the woman you want. I'm not to be controlled. That's just not me. And then when he realized I meant it, and the minutes was running down on his phone, he started crying. And somebody in the background was trying to tell him to calm down. Get off me, just let me talk to her. She about to hang up. She gonna leave me, man. But he wasn't saying like that. He was cussing somebody out, because I was gonna do it. I was done. And this is what he started saying. My mom used to beat me in my eye with a belt buckle. He said, the reason I'm so good at math is because when I couldn't get it right, she would take the buckle or the belt and just hit me in my eye and black my eye. My mama and sisters used to go out of town. Sister and brother used to go out of town to Georgia. And they would leave 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would have to sit on the porch till they came back with no food. I just drank water out the side of the house at the faucet. And there's no need not to believe him. You want me to tell you why? Because I met these people. He said, my mom used to let my brothers and my sisters beat me. And then he said to me, he said, well, you gave me a present for my birthday. It's the first time in my life. He's 35. I've ever had a birthday present given to me, ever. He said, I've never had a birthday party till I was 27, and I had to throw it for myself. And they only came because it was drugs there. He said to me, when you gave me presents for Christmas and I told you I had to go somewhere, I just went in the car to cry. Because I've never, even when we was little, I would sit on my bed and all my two sisters and my brother would get gifts and stuff from their daddies. And my mama would tell me, no need for you to come out the room and leave because we didn't get you nothing. And you telling me you don't think that affected you don't think that affected his life as worse as me being molested affected mine?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have any self-esteem. He think he do because he can say, oh, I know I'm good looking. And that's what people do. They push out self-esteem, but don't have none on the inside. Because what they're saying don't stick in their heart. What they're saying is for other people to affirm to them that what they say. I'm sorry, y'all. I love that boy, and it just hurt me. I can't tell you everything that they did to him because I can't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand how you do that to a child. I just don't. I don't understand how you grew up like that. I don't understand it. But and I'm trying to tell him, you're a survivor, dog. You survived, but he don't see it that way because he thinks that's normal. At 35, he still thinks that's how people are because he's never met anybody different. And this is not a pity party for him or whatever, because I'm still going to do whatever I want to do. People telling me, leave yours, because you might know what's going on with mine. But I swear on everything that's Harry Potter, you don't know nothing about everything that he do. And there's women that sleep next to men. No, they don't beat them, but they don't speak to them.
Right.
They treat them like children, or they cheating on them, or they whatever. So if sin is sin, then why you measuring mine? I can't. Then what you measuring mine for?
Because you got people who think that some sins are not as big, but sin is sin.
Sin is sin. You murder somebody,
it's just like a lie is a lie.
Yeah,
a lie is a lie.
Yeah,
it ain't no little white lies, and
I hate when people say
a lie is a lie.
It's a lie.
Right.
And
a lie is a lie. It ain't no little white lies. Oh, you know what? I might have just left out. No, you didn't just leave out nothing. No, you lied. Just say you lied.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when you get to the point that you done told so many lies, you don't even remember what you said.
Yeah. And there's or you done told the same lie so many times that you begin to believe it, and now it's not a lie to you. Nobody can convince you that's not how it happened.
Right.
But to get back on to subject, so I won't be accused of just having this platform to talk about my little relationship. Even what I just talked about, it all comes down to self-esteem and how you feel about you. But what you have and all that shouldn't shape it. But what you've been through, your experiences do shape it. Mm-hmm. And so that is the question that we're still asking. How do you flip that thing around so that you believe that I am the greatest of all time? There's this thing on Facebook that was a beautiful girl singing, I will be the greatest of that's my jam. Because she just listening to why she going to be the greatest. And then you look at her on the video and I'm like, this can't believe this. Because she's told herself that so many times it's true to her. And that's why I tell people, every affirmation is not for everybody. Just because the affirmation works for you does not mean that affirmation gonna work for me, because some of that stuff don't pertain to me. So I'm saying it, but I'm basically skipping over it in my head because that ain't got nothing to do with me. So we have to, as so-called leaders and ministers and influencers and all that stuff, I don't want to be called none of that stuff. Bobby is good for me. Because if I have to stay in this place of lowness is where I am to get to the people that God needs me to get to, then so be it. Because this is the issue. What Coco said about catching up. I should have did this 5 years ago when he had me in the same neighborhood. I used to live 2 blocks away.
Right.
Working at the same job I started working. I've been back at the hospital, same office. He brought me backwards. And now I'm in the place where I'm supposed to be reaching somebody in this neighborhood. Good God, I'll be glad when they get here, Jesus, so I can move. But I'm saying, you If you don't stop doing that mama rock, like you in the middle of a Baptist sermon, stop it. Anyway, so but no, I do that because that's when it get good. But I can't do it right now because I don't know what's going on, but all of the muscles in my back have locked up.
Yeah.
And they spasm in really bad. And then my legs do it at night, and I have to twist them another way. But I think it's just I know this new chemo. The other chemo worked on some other stuff. It was harsh, but this one works on your bones and your muscles. It's kicking my butt. And I don't cry or anything because I know if I start crying because of the pain, I won't be able to stop because the pain is almost constant. But I got a muscle relaxant back there on my tape. I'm sorry, Tara. Tara says you have to think about you. I've been through that. You do realize that that's how narcissists operate. They try to control. You have to make the decision. You have to be tired of being tired. We have to pray for him. And I do. I constantly pray for him. But I'm going to tell you this, and I understand what you're saying, Tara, and I understand what other people are saying. And yes, I see the news. I see these niggas out here killing these women and they children. I understand that. I get it. I don't think I'm more special than anybody else. But I'll tell you this. I don't think, and I'm not a doctor. I think that Anton's narcissism is not one of those chemical kind of narcissism. I think his narcissism comes from the fact that he couldn't control what was done to him when he was little, but he's going to control it now. Mm-hmm. Because he'll say in a minute, I know punk, I'm a man. But his idea of what men showing what a man is screwed off because of his uncle, I believe. But this is the other thing. On the flip side of that, he's very biblical. Not that he know the word like that, because he just started reading the Bible. But you know what he told me? But this is what he believes, and this is what I believe coming from where I come from. The man takes care of his household. He goes out to work, and he comes home to his wife, and his wife makes sure that the house. I'm very old fashioned like that because my apostle is like that. Mm-hmm. I lived with her for 3 years. I watched her do what she preached. My mama was like that. Hard as my mama worked, my daddy cooked if he felt like it. He fixed his plate if he felt like it. He got his clothes together if he felt like it. But my mama did all that and talk trash. Not mean and nasty yelling. No, she yelled at us a lot. But my daddy, that booger loved her food. If it was this much gravy left in a little container, she'll put it in that little container. 4 days later, Trisha, ain't a little bit of that gravy left from that. That's what I'm talking about. Those are relationship goals. And I understand we're not going to speak the killing as long as he knows what's going on with it. Exactly. And I'm not speaking it, Tara. I promise you, I'm not. But I want you to understand, and Coco understands that I understand the risk. And I don't, but I don't think I'm taking a risk. I think that there's a little boy inside of him that looks oddly like the little girl inside of me. You feel me?
Yeah. I mean, everybody got that though.
You know what I'm saying? And his was damaged. And I just had the fortunate blessings of God to meet Tara and to meet Felicia and to meet Apostle and my godmother. He didn't have that luxury. But guess who he know now? He knows my godmother. He knows her husband. So the same teachings that I get once a month or twice a month, he get to talk to Dee, or he get to talk to Apostle. And now when we argue, you know what first thing come out of his mouth? Let me talk to Apostle, man. Because then you don't listen to me. I said, well, she's not going to be on your side. You got to find your own mentor. That's mine. Because I'm selfish with it. I know y'all. Don't judge me. I know it sounds like high school. Find your own people. I introduce you to them. They're not yours. And you know all my godchildren names. How this one, how that one. I said, you better stop talking about them. Those are my people. You have to find your own friends. You do not take but my godchildren talk about him. What you want to call Anton? He got to visit, whatever. They love him. And when they call me and he on the phone, tell Barbara take us to get some ice cream. He'll tell me, take money out of my account and take them to and get some ice cream. But nigga, that'll be you next week with no canteen. But he's a loving person. And I watched him do when he before I met his family and we were in our relationship at the beginning, he was awesome. And the day I met his family, I knew something was off. But I didn't realize how bad it was. Because all of them are I have never met an entire family like that. But anyway, he said he's going to tell his own story. So I'm going to let him tell his own story. But saying all of that, our self-esteem, bastard, I'm sorry, that was a bad word, but it's bugging in. Fight bugs all day in this house. If I can show you, one day I'm going to show y'all how I live. I really am. I just can't move right now. But all of saying that, and I know it seemed like it off the subject, but it wasn't. We're talking about self-esteem. The esteem that you put into yourself is not judged by anyone else except you. That is the point of this entire show. And I love this thing because I can see myself. I'm talking to me. Your self-esteem is how you feel about you. And it should not go up or down depending on what you're going through and how your day going. I should feel good about myself all day long. Now, I might feel sad about my circumstances. I might feel a little, get a little twinge of upsetness, but it still should not affect who I think I am and how I feel about me. That's all I'm saying. That we went 2 hours for me to say that. Because I mean what I'm saying. I hope that somebody gets this, and I hope that who's on here, that you share it and send it out and tell them if they want to get on and to talk about it again, let's debate. Come on as a guest. Coco, no, I love guests.
Right.
I love conversations. I don't like lecturing people. I believe in the old teaching method like they used to do in the Bible. And I said it the other day. I think it's Coco might remember it. Is it Hasidic Jews?
Yeah.
When they study, they look like they're arguing. Yeah. But what they're doing is they're asking questions. They're going back and forth. They question after question, and you got to answer. And I love that. That is how it is really supposed to be done. That's Bible study. But we don't do Bible study like that no more. You got somebody up there lecturing and everybody going, and you PowerPointed. But nobody answering no questions. And one of the reasons is not because they don't have any, but one of the reasons is because we have put preachers and apostles and so on such a high level that we feel like they're unapproachable. Right. And so we have questions, but we rather go ask Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke ain't been to church since 1938. And I don't understand why you asking them questions about what is biblically sound and not. And you don't want to ask nobody on the proof because some of them just as lost as you, first of all. And second thing, they ain't paying no attention just like you ain't. When they lost you, and that's on that third big word they used, sorry, y'all know how I get after a while. I'm sorry. After that third big old word, and they lost you, you stop listening. You ain't listening no more because anybody want to listen to nobody, and I got to look up every other word. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to Google nothing in the middle of your sermon. So that's just how I go with it.
I need that cup. I need one that big.
You do? I'm going to get you one.
Yeah, I need one that big.
No, I'm going to get you one. You know where I got it from? Where I get it from? Talk to me. Where did it come from?
I don't know where you get it from.
What store? Only place I shop.
Oh, the Goodwill.
They have so many beer in there, and I ain't got enough cabinet space. I love big old cups like that. They're so hard to find now because everybody's drinking them little things of tea and espresso. Honey, enjoy yourself at Starbucks. This is a coffee cup. This is what coffee cups look like. Just like
this.
They
don't have one. I ain't seen nothing like that in none of the Goodwill.
This is a coffee cup right here. Right here, them little dainty things that you can. No, you should be able to hit your husband over the head with this and still use it later on. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It shouldn't break. Don't let me say stuff like that, Coco. Anyway, so that's where we are, and oh my God, I had such a good time on here. It started off slow because a lot of people were coming in and leaving, but it's okay. Because I've determined that I'm not going to worry about that. Because sometimes when I go back and I look at the things, it has 55 and 60 views. And I'm glad and grateful for this. Y'all, please share this. Tara says, it starts from parents. Exactly. Parents and family. Parents have to learn how to build their children up. If you show your children how much you love them, they don't look for it from someone else. I have always validated my kids. When they get the compliment, they tell them, yeah, I know my mama told me that. And that's beautiful. That's beautifully said. And that's exactly right. But this is the problem. Sometimes And most of the time, because it's hard to live by that right there when your mama is 15 and your grandmama is just in her 20s and your great grandmama just barely out of her 30s, and the mama and the grandmama go to the club together and leave you with the great grandmama who, good God, is only in her 40s. And so teaching about uplifting, and if you don't get it, you're not going to be able to pass it along. And the only reason I can do it is because Apostle and her family was so close, and I watched them, and I grew up basically with her children. My godmama Gail and Tony Talbert, they were very affectionate family. My family was not like that because, like I said, I think my mama was broken. We couldn't walk around the house in our pajamas. The girls could only wear white underwear, panties and bras. That's it. We couldn't be in the room with our brothers or whatever with the door closed. We couldn't lay on the sofa next to each other. We didn't hug each other. When I was little, I thought, man, something wrong with her, man. But now I realize, like I said, broken. Something happened to her with a relative or some dude, and whatever he did, he messed her up for life. Because she carried it with her. My mama only underwear that was white. She dressed okay, but her clothes was always a little too big. And she told my daddy she wouldn't marry him. She told him no for 5 years. So my sister was 5 years old. And I think the only reason she told him yes, because to get away from Atlanta. Oh, keep doing the live. Yeah, I stopped for a minute because I had, like yesterday I went on live. And I told a guy off who to pay my money. I still ain't got my money. Wow. And then I texted him and apologized and told him, you know what? I was in my feelings. Because what I did was I did a Will Smith. You feel me? Acting that way and saying things like that, it takes away from the message that I'm giving when I'm trying to be positive. You understand? And one wrong move, I could stop somebody from watching when the next day I say something that pulls them out of hell. And so I held myself accountable for that. I was angry, and I had every right to be angry. I had every right to demand my money, and still do, because I still ain't got it. But I didn't. Going on that platform, and it's not saying I'm not going to do it again to somebody else, because I think some people need to be brought out publicly and shamed. But it wasn't his turn to be done that way. It wasn't his turn to be done that way because I allowed him to jerk around with me on that job for almost 2 weeks. And then for me, just like this is exactly what this podcast is, what it's about today. And I taught him that you can do me all kind of way and I'm still going to come back to work. And I say that out of accountability. This is on me. You know how hard it is for me to say stuff when it's on me? I got to be accountable for what I said and did yesterday. Was I wrong? No. Was my delivery wrong? No. But the point of the whole morning things is to encourage people, not to come on with my business. And so I took accountability for it, and I texted him and I apologized to him. And then even in that, I still didn't get my money. I could still be mad, and I could still destroy his marriage if I wanted to. But at what cost to what I'm trying to build? What's the cost to that? What is that going to cost me? Because Will Smith finding out right now what 3 seconds just cost him. And now she talking about she going to leave this nigga. When you should have left him a long time ago. You've been at his balls. You've been emasculating him. And now he done did something to make you think make you look bad. And now you want to leave him?
She was already she always had 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, she never when that little girl said me and my mom wish Tupac had been my daddy, she had already took his balls off. And she did it at the red table by spreading their business about.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty and then just like that table they had when he was crying, everybody was laughing or whatever. He knew they was gonna have a talk, but he didn't think she would do him like that. The look on his face was pure. She killing me. She killed all his manhood. So when Chris Rock came out with that and he realized she wasn't laughing, because she laughed at first. And she looked at him like she was about to just die. And he went up there and slapped that man. That was not Chris Rock he was slapping.
No.
That was him trying to get his balls back.
He was working out his frustration.
Right. And she has alopecia and all this other stuff, and that's fine. But alopecia cleans your head completely off. Alopecia leaves, it takes all the hair. Y'all know if you ever see that there's another guy on here named Norman. He's a homosexual guy, but he's freaking hilarious. Nothing. And I've seen people with alopecia and little girls or whatever. It might leave little tufts, but her hair is shaved down to the thing.
Yeah,
it's shaved down and it's lined up. And I'm not saying she don't have it. I'm saying you got money. It may not grow your hair back, but you could have weaved that up. And G.I. Jane, it was a freaking funny joke. Y'all should have taken it and said, "Oh, we got our own production company. Let's do it." Right. And y'all could have made money off that same joke because people would have came and see it because they would have said, "Girl, you remember when Chris Rock made that joke? She made that move." No, but he walked up there and ruined that for both of y'all, and it's your fault because he was saying he was defending her honor, but what he was doing was trying to get his balls out that joke.
And it wasn't even saying that they said that he defended her honor. I don't think that that's really what it was. The biggest thing is that he was frustrated, had been frustrated ever since the whole entanglement issue.
Yeah, and then that's the other thing. You at the table, you trying to force people to tell you their business and all that, and you can't say affair.
Yeah, and
you can't say infidelity.
And it's just been one of them things ever since. But he
knew you up there talking about knots. Anybody talking about no knots? And ain't nothing entangled up here.
Nope.
And that's your fault. And if you was a man, you would have went to jail because that boy was underage. So everybody talking about everything else except the fact that she basically seduced that child. Now you get mad when he grew up just a little bit, not even enough to still be basically a child. And now he telling everybody, he bragging about who wife he been with. Girl, goodbye. Girl, bye. Anyway, I lost respect for her a long time ago, and I do not watch The Red Table. And she ain't got never watched this show either. But I tell you this, I tell you the truth on here. And mostly
saying how they feel about her. Like her and Vivica used to be close. They not no more. Vivica says she can't even believe that she did him like that. Like,
yeah.
I think
a lot of people were inside of that. Inside of that, I think a lot of them are going to come out and talk about that situation because I think that's not. I don't even think they probably sleep in the same part of the house. From what I think she said that they shared that he said that he'll never divorce her because he would never get another divorce. He's with her to keep a promise in his head that is not that's not sound. That's not coming from the head. Oh, the head of a man.
The biggest thing for me is when she said, "I never wanted to marry him anyway."
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy to me.
And y'all got married for what?
Yeah, but this the thing. You got children. You saying that about their daddy.
Yeah. But the children confused is all could get out too.
Yeah. That Jaden boy, he's so sensitive. Jaden is who his mama is supposed to be in the spirit. But I gotta go. I can't. I got
real good mental issues right now too because
Tara. More than that is going to happen to her. She caused Will to lose everything. I don't watch The Red Table either. Vivica just spoke ill towards Will. She's crazy too. I think that people have too much money and they have too much time to think about stuff that don't have nothing to do with them. Because if you got that much time to think about that, send me something for my light bill here.
Right.
You just let that money sit there. You could have been doing philanthropic and helping the home and doing all kind of writing a book and all. You worry about niggas ain't texting you and you got money in the bank. So yeah, these children is I think she brainwashed some children a long time ago against this man. But anyway, I have to go. We have shows like this every now and then. And so my thing is if I get at least 20 views after y'all like and share, then we will come back. And I would like to say this. I've been holding it in. No, I'm not gonna say it. Anyway, so I'm not gonna say it. And what? I'm sorry. That was the North Charleston coming out. So we're gonna go because I can't sit in this position anymore. And I really need to get some rest because I got somewhere to go in the morning. I'll tell you about it, Coco. I can't say it on here because Social Security might be watching.
Go take your meds, man. I gotta be up at 3 a.m.
I gotta get up there early. I still want to talk to you about dispatching and teaching me how to broker.
Okay,
I'm serious.
I know.
Tell Jamaica you about to come right now. Just cut the lights off. We're ready to go. He gonna have to fix me some of that Aki and fish or something.
He said that he was waiting on you to come. So
yeah, I know, but my car won't go over 40 miles an hour. So if I have coming to y'all, I'll be to y'all next month around the 20th. But yeah, girl, I love you, Tara. You are the best. We do this every Tuesday at 7. I would love for you to come on as a guest and just talk. I don't send out notes or anything. That I rarely take notes. Coco will tell you it's usually just me and Jesus and we going because it's going to spin off somewhere else anyway because I don't have no good sense. But I would love for you to come on as a guest and we could just talk about. And my shows aren't always this serious. You probably don't want to come on the sex show because I'll be trying to demonstrate toys and stuff. You probably want to miss that one. But but any other show you want to come on, you come on. Coco will come on any show. She don't care. But just know that she on the show, but Jamaica is in the background. He makes sure don't nothing pop off. That booger love his wife. You understand me? You come on here popping off, you gonna get some Jamaica up your behind. And I'm not talking about the colors of the flag either, bro. That booger love him some core.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, you don't want to listen. Y'all think she just sitting there and she rocking? No. That's that Jamaican love right there, honey. You don't want to come that way with the wrong foolishness. That right there is couples goals over there. And one day it'll be me, her, Anton, and him, but we'll be in the same room and we're gonna have a talk with couples and all that other stuff. Because I think that her husband has a lot of wisdom hidden up under that beard, and he holds it to himself. And I think that I want to be one of the first to listen to, because when men quiet like that, and strong and quiet, it's some wisdom up under there. And I would love to sit down and just have a round table and pick this man's brain and see how him and Anton go knock off each other and exchange ideas. It would just blow my mind, and I think it would blow the audience mind. So that's something I'm looking forward to. I ain't told him that yet. He just found out. Okay then. So girl, let me take my meds. My back is singing all day for real. But before we go, we're gonna do something that I don't normally do, and we're gonna go into prayer. And I was gonna ask Coco to do it, but God said, "Don't do that, because you are capable of doing just that." So for those that are on here, and if you don't believe in God or Jesus or anything like that, go get the Bugs Bunny or SpongeBob, whoever you believe in, and you bring them and you can pray in front of them and hope God hear it, because that's the only one gonna work for you. Because I don't know where Buddha and Confucius at, and neither do you. It's safe. So we're gonna end it in prayer. You know I don't pray long, and so yeah, God is good. So Father God, in the name of Jesus, we come to you as humble as children, just to say thank you. God, we don't want to ask for anything. We don't want you to perform any hopscotch and jump through any hoops. You know why? Because God, we know that you are going to supply, that you are a provider, and that you're going to supply those things and provide those things according to your riches and glory. And God, we just want to thank you for that. We thank you for fellowship. We thank you for conversation. We thank you for companionship. We thank you that you told us that we didn't have to be alone. And in not being alone, we have somebody in this world that's going to be there for us, that's going to hold our hand, that's going to be our friend, that's going to walk us through the fire. It may not be a Shadrach and it may not be an Abednego, but sometimes it's just Shadrach by itself and Abednego. It's going to be somebody. And in the midst of all of that, God resides. And we thank you for that. We give you glory. We give you honor. I lift my hands now in surrender, because everything that I need, everything that I want, every tear that I cried, every thing that I think negative about myself and anybody else out there, all of those negative things, you're going to give us the wisdom and the words, and you're going to flip our minds. And every time we say that we are great, we're going to mean it. Every time that we say that we are awesome, we're going to mean it. Every time we say that we're beautiful, we're going to mean it. Every time that we say that I believe in myself, that I'm confident, that I'm going to make it, that it's going to be, we're going to believe it, because you're going to make it so. And I say this because I believe in you. I believe that you believe in me. And though I am not worthy of your love, you have forgotten All of those things that I continue to remember. And for that, God alone, I thank you. And so, God, we end this prayer saying that you are who you say you are. You have been and done what you say that you're going to do. And you have kept us. And you're keeping us. And you will keep on doing so. And so we sit here in awe that we ran into each other on this platform and we didn't crash. We ran into each other's arms and we held each other all the way through to the end. And we will continue to do so in your name, Father. And God, bless those that are going to watch after. Bless those that came on to be with me and show that they love me. That showed friendship. Because you people, you can say it all day long. Oh, but God, they showed it because they showed up. And then you showed up and you showed out. And I talk a lot of trash about this man, but I have such an honorary thought of, I call him Jamaica. And you know who I'm talking about. But I honor him and I praise God that he sits and he listens to this right here. And I miss Stan. And please look over Stanley. Touch his heart and his mind and settle his spirit. That's what I'm asking. I don't know why I'm saying it, but settle his spirit. Settle his spirit. Look on Quint. Look on Fred. And today, I saw his picture and tell my friend, Terrence, that we miss him, we love him. And he would have loved this show. And I hope he watched it. And so before I go out too far, I just thank you and we thank you. And we give you all the honor and the glory. And I say this like I always say, Jesus fixed it like you said you would. Amen.
Amen.
Oh my God. Me and Terrence would have loved this show.
Terrence would love every show. That's his thing. He
would have loved this one. He just would have been laughing and joking and saying the most misogynistic crap to make me mad. But I love him so much. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Coco. Tara probably, I hope she work it out that she can come on as a guest. I'll invite you right on in. Just let me know if you want to come in and I'll just send you the link and you can come right on in. This is not rocket science, I promise. And so I love y'all. You have a wonderful night too, baby. We're about to head on out of here. Amen. The benediction has been said. The usher's at the door. The deacon's still sleeping. Somebody wake him up. We on our way out the door. Love y'all. Be good.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.